Baby, baby, nice baby, baby. Ooh, cute babies. More babies. Super baby, baby, boss baby, baby. What are babies for anyway? Hi, I'm Enoch Mountain Lovu and welcome to Curse with Knowledge, where we aim to educate, motivate, and above all, enlighten. In this episode, we answer a seemingly simple question. What are babies for? Are they just fancy accessories like press dogs or teacup pigs? Because you have to admit, they are pretty damn cute. And it would explain why everyone wants one. Even this little guy agrees with me.
Throughout history, people have loved babies more than anything in the world. We've always been a must-have item, number one, on every wish list.
Number one, must-have item. That's the only thing I picked up there. And yet if you think about it, it makes more sense to avoid having a baby. And some people actually choose not to. First of all, their cuteness is not guaranteed. Exhibit A. Then there's the fact that it costs a lot of money to maintain them. They don't have a winning personality all the time. They are dumb as chimps, which doesn't make them useful for anything, not to speak of a conversation with them. And there's the fact that they are big poop generating machines. Well, that last one may be a little bit unfair. We are all poop generating machines. But they don't have a self-cleaning feature, so that's advantage to us. In the end, they seem to take more than they give, which can just be narrowed down to cute smiles and warm fuzzy feelings for parents. And that's just an evolutionary trick to get you to take care of them in the first place. Oh, I'm sorry. You thought your 2 weeks old baby smiles at you because he likes you? They can do that in their sleep. It's just a reflex that makes you to like them and take care of them.
True story.
Despite all their quirks, people still want babies. And some perceive a life without one as unfulfilling. So there must be some purpose and benefit to having a baby that we have overlooked so far. So let's dig in deeper, shall we? Now, like I said earlier, the answer to the question, what are babies for, is seemingly obvious. But the fact that there's a lot of bad parenting, unplanned parenthood, and the failure to provide for the babies that we bring into this world suggests that a lot of people don't understand the purpose of having children. And in the words of Miles Monroe, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So, because there is rampant abuse, let's establish the purpose and hopefully inspire better parenting. To do this, we will consider two perspectives. The first is the naturalistic perspective, based on natural reproductive behavior. Then the second one is the human or the anthropological perspective. That second one considers the subject in the uniqueness of the human context. That is social, cultural, psychological, and so on. It focuses on the purpose and value of babies to you as an individual, as a parent or a potential parent. However, because the human-centered perspective is in some way founded on natural principles, let's start our discussion with the naturalistic perspective. Naturally speaking, human beings, like all living organisms, have a need and often a desire to reproduce. And the reason for this is simple. We are mortal. We don't live forever. We die. So, if human beings are going to continue to exist, there is need for a mechanism to produce more of them. And babies are the result of that reproductive mechanism. The same way that puppies are to dogs, lambs to sheep, kittens to cats, and of course, naive people to cows. When the reproductive process fails or becomes insufficient, the group or the species becomes extinct. So, the basic idea is replacing what is lost. Mortality is the driver of reproduction. The more individuals a species loses, the more it is supposed to reproduce if it is to sustain its existence. To better explain this, I will have to take off this persona for a brief moment and just expose myself bare to you as the geek that I am, in a segment of the show that we call
Talk Nerdy to Me.
Talk nerdy to me.
mortality is an important driving force of reproduction. To understand this relationship, let us consider the RK selection theory in ecology. This model asserts that living organisms employ either of two systems or strategies to reproduce. The strategy used depends on the environmental factors as well as the organism's biology. The first strategy, the R strategy, focuses on the rate of reproduction. That means producing as many offspring as possible or as frequently as possible. This is observed in most insects, fish, rats, animals such as octopuses, and plants such as grass and dandelions. If you've noticed, all these organisms have high and early mortality as well as high fecundity, that is the ability to produce abundantly. They are also usually found in unstable or precarious environments or conditions where survival may be difficult due to rapidly changing weather conditions, difficulty accessing resources, or vulnerability to predators. So, to compensate for the high likelihood that their offspring may not survive to reach maturity, our selected species produce a lot of offspring, or in the case of plants, seeds. So, a fish will lay hundreds, if not thousands of eggs. And when they hatch in the environment with lots of predators, little resources, and other negative factors, many of them will certainly die. But because there is so many of them, statistically speaking, some will certainly survive. On the other hand, we have K-selected species. These focus on the carrying capacity of the environment and so don't produce rapidly or carelessly, but do as much as they can to ensure the survival of the offspring. This system is often observed in large animals, though smaller ones can also be K-selected. However, the two key factors are that K-selected species often invest a level of parental care to ensure the survival of the few offspring they have, and are often found in relatively stable environments or situations and conditions. Animals such as whales, elephants, gorillas, cows, and so on are K-selected. They have low fecundity, late mortality, and their environment or conditions ensure a steady flow of resources. When their numbers grow beyond what the environment can support, the ecological system controls it naturally with several restrictions like hunger, disease, and increase in predators, thus defining the carrying capacity. RK selection occurs in a continuum, with some animals being on either extreme ends, while others are somewhat in the middle areas. For instance, pigs or dogs. Where a species lies on the continuum is influenced by environmental factors and biological factors. With that understanding of how mortality and survivability affects reproduction rate, let us see how we can relate this to us and answer the question, what are babies for? If the nerd talk was comprehensive, then you should already know that human beings are extremely K-selected. We have very few babies in a lifetime and invest a lot into taking care of them. What's more, we raise them in pretty much stable environments. Now, a quick note though, the application of R and K strategies isn't just observed across species, but within species as well. For instance, males seem to be R-selected, while females are K-selected, which would explain the millions of sperm produced per day as compared to one ovum per month, plus an additional 9 months of gestation. It also explains certain behavioral trends by men, but I will not get into that because it will seem like I'm justifying something. Furthermore, human beings, because of our nature and intelligence, we also seem to employ different strategies in different conditions, which is where that anthropological centered view comes into play now. So let's dig into that. While we are K-selected as a species, in certain circumstances, we are driven to focus on rate of production rather than carrying capacity. In the past, when infant mortality was high, life expectancy was low, and living conditions were very precarious, people produced more children and started doing so very early in life to compensate for the high death rate and the low life expectancy. Now that we have developed better healthcare systems and developed ways to produce and utilize more resources such as food, energy, clean water, we see no need to have 10 children because the survival of each child is better assured. This can also be related to current trends. Current global trends are that developed countries have low birth rate and low fertility rate, which speaks of fecundity. They also have low mortality and longer life expectancy, while underdeveloped countries have the exact inverse of that. Why? Because if you're in Europe, it is safe to bet your lineage on 1 or 2 children because their survival is guaranteed by the socio-economic system, which ensures access to safety, access to resources, and quality social services generally. However, if you are living in a village in rural Zambia, you will most likely be driven to have at least 5 children because some may not survive to see their 5th birthday due to limited resources, poor living conditions, and poor social services. So that should explain it. Additionally, in such situations, the children themselves become resources because they are human capital, which can be labor, for instance, in subsistence agriculture, or they can be exchanged for resources such as money or livestock. I believe the politically correct term is bride price or lobola. So please don't feel bad about it if your culture still practices this. Other animals such as scorpions and dogs turn their babies into resources as well when times are hard. Except they cut off the future of their children by literally eating them. Whew, that was nasty. Anyway, it is such unique human traits that can help us further explain what babies are for to us as human beings and as individuals. And if I were to summarize this point in a word, it would be this one: legacy. As human beings and as individuals, we have a need to pass on more than just our genes. We want to pass on our names, our ideas, our possessions, our social status, and so on. Kings and queens, monarchs, for instance, have to ensure that they have children to succeed them. The stakes to reproduce are higher for them because it is not just a matter of passing on their genes or ensuring the survival of humanity, but also the survival of their social status and a throne, which has to be passed on. It's about ensuring their name and their legacy is remembered and that the dynasty doesn't die. It should continue through a successor. In the words of a vicious but very wise man,
your mother's dead. Before long I'll be dead. And you. And your brother. And your sister. And all of her children. All of us dead. All of us rotting in the ground. It's the family name that lives on. It's all that lives on. Not your personal glory, not your honor, but family. Do you understand?
I just love and respect that. And I think I just got inspiration for a future episode. Anyway, in another story, the story of Adam and Eve, the first man and the first woman lived immortal lives and were on honeymoon for probably decades, just feeding each other fruit, getting their skin tanned in a tropical paradise. They were chilling. But immediately after things went bad and they were told they would die because they had sinned, the very next chapter, you read this.
Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived, and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord.
Behold, the power of mortality.
They knew they had to get things together and tango with purpose from then on. Anyway, I digress. The point is, human beings need babies to pass on our social existence. That is why we teach our children our ways and our culture. We invest in their livelihood. We give them our names. We leave them an inheritance because we want to guarantee their success. And their success is our success. It's all kind of selfish if you think about it. So let religions and philosophers argue about the metaphysical nature of man and what happens to us when we die, or whether we have an immortal soul or not. All they want. But I know there is one sure way of ensuring immortality: legacy. That is why these people are still alive in some way, because what they did still affects us today, and their ideas are still alive in us. And of course, somewhere on this earth, someone may be carrying their DNA, but that's what babies are for. They make us immortal. Thank you for watching. By clicking the subscribe button, you will have unlimited access to an exclusive club, the club of my subscribers. So please subscribe and click that notification bell. And of course, Facebook and Twitter. Thank you.